it's Sinatra. You guys, a lot of you might be familiar with this guy. He has been Overwatch League champion. He is a good DPS player overall and been playing quite a lot of Tracer in Overwatch, and he's also been playing a lot of Valorant. I think he's also been playing Apex, a really good player as well, and now he's playing Marvel Rivals too, and currently ranked #1 Starlord, actually. A lot of the Starlord's playstyle, if you guys are familiar with a game like Overwatch, is a lot similar to Tracer's playstyle, but you're gonna be using a lot of verticality. You will be trying to just stay up in the buildings a lot of times, but because you have that mobility, you can leverage that to your advantage and just try to go for more flank routes. Of course, there are also times when we're gonna be trying to play on the main, but mostly we're gonna be looking for the flank options. And as you can see, Sinatra here is ranked #1, 67% win rate and 115 games played, quite a lot, 21 hours as well. I think that's pretty decent. And yeah, one above whole rank, obviously. I think we're gonna start with this first. And this stuff I'm gonna talk about that can apply to any characters with a high mobility. Yeah, I see two people typing. What are the best off angles for this map specifically? Good question. It really depends on the character, but if I'm playing the character with some sort of mobility, if I'm able to take verticality on this map, then I would just like to use some of the spillers, honestly. It's just something above. If I'm near the point, I don't want to be a lot of times contesting just on the point. That's what I tell people. Guys, you don't have to stuck on point. You can just take map control. You can actually go around the point and contest the angles whatever you want to, just depending on where the enemies might come from. And actually this is something you can take advantage of. There are slide off angles, like I can peek out over here, or if I'm attacking from here, then I can also do it this way. Another route is over here, but yeah, it just has another option. I usually prefer taking control over the top first, because this way you have more options for anyone. If you guys watched the lesson on the power positions, I talked about how we want to take the positions where we have multiple options, where you have multiple angles of attack. And from here, you exactly have this option. You can always drop, you can always go right, you can always go left. Just to look at this Sinatra, what they're gonna do. And I will talk about first timing. What we gotta keep an eye on as the character, any DPS character, is first off, you want to be synchronizing pressure with your tank, yeah, with one of your tanks. Ideally, just look at what your tank is providing, what kind of utility they're giving to you. For example, here, if I look at those two tanks, then this Space, by the way, Space is also a Overwatch League player. They're quite good on the tank, and on Magneto specifically, it's really important to use the bubbles. Yeah, make sure you synchronize pressure around those. So, for instance, Sinatra, he could be just synchronizing the pressure when Space is going forward, maybe using bubble on himself, but even better if he can ask for the bubble for himself and just go more aggressive, try to take more aggressive flank routes, or maybe just go for one of his abilities. If he just uses this E, for example, it does AoE damage, and you will see this quite a lot when they're going forward. They're trying to just time the pressure with the tank, yeah, make sure the utility is in place. Yeah, that is gonna be our simple idea. Time use bubbles. Let's just watch. Okay, so first off, regarding the timing, we're gonna be looking at the utility, but also, and that is the second thing I mentioned, is the map control. Yeah, on this character, we can use more mobility, we can try to just go above somewhere and try to shoot the enemy, divert their attention. Make sure that all attention is not going towards my team, but it's also going towards me. If you remember lesson on the angle, I mentioned the more mobility you have on the character, the deeper angle you can take, typically. There are also exceptions when you can give up the position, but there has to be a good reason. Start somewhere above the enemy, divert the attention, because they split their resources is gonna work out quite well for you. And again, for any kind of characters like Salak, maybe you're also playing something like Black Panther, it's a melee character, you are asking Spider-Man, melee character, the same idea, the same concept, yeah? But yeah, anyway, noticing that the enemy is getting a really good hook. Baki is quite good at dealing with divers, actually, because he can just pull them in, and the rest of the teammates, they can just focus the character down. But even though he got hooked, we still have the utility in place. And we talked about that, just making sure there's a bubble in place. I honestly suggest you guys, if possible in your games, if it's not hindering your performance, just ask for the support with your bubbles, with the Magneto's bubble. If you're playing some sort of flanker, just tell them, okay, I'm going in 3, 2, 1, and then you can just do something. Try to go maybe for AoE damage, like in case of Sinatra, they're gonna go for the E. It was not as planned to just get him pulled right away, but anyway, you will see that a lot later. How they just using the E to go for AoE damage, especially with the chokes. Yeah, because we expect a lot of the enemies to come from here, we need to just constantly do as much damage as possible towards them. Yeah, of course, their use is quite important. So, for example, here, you see that? They are starting to posture more aggressively. Maybe they're not finding the angle above because they've been forced away from this choke, yeah, but they're still trying to go in when the rest of his utilities in place, like the Magneto is going forward, they take slide off angle on the left side, and probably asking for bubble as well. Just, I'm going in, 3, 2, 1, you can also communicate that to your tanks if you want to. If they're not giving the bubble, it's fine, just make sure it's in place, scout visually, and see if there's probability for you to get the defensive cooldown as well. Or maybe just so they absorb the pressure as well. Yeah, this is really important. Okay, I think it's gonna be a really long fight for them actually too. I want you guys to make sure you're constantly synchronizing not only with your tank, but especially with the rest of your team. For example, here, you have seen that the one tank's down, they gotta be more careful eventually, and they start giving up some sort of space. Yeah, they just start not necessarily holding Bob anymore where they've been on this position, but they will try to just posture a little bit more back, and you will see them trying to use verticality to do an ultimate to control the space. Meantime, I want you to notice with the map control how they are using cover, how they're not exposing themselves to too many threats, and it's just useful for any sort of duelist. If you guys trying to control the map, you don't have to be exposed to everything. Just be exposed to the damage which you can control, which your teammates can take advantage of. Let's say it this way. Or even better, yeah, I'll give you another direction, is try to just shoot the damage, shoot the characters where you have some sort of distraction, yeah, where your tanks are going in. If they're distracting an enemy, then it's a good place to also start shooting. For example, here, this Venom is gonna dive those guys, so this can give me more opportunities to just get a kill there, most likely. Yeah, maybe I'm not getting kills still, but who knows, because I've just synchronized with this Venom, but I'm a really good player as well. There are quite a lot of good players actually. Remix is a good tank, Space is a good tank. On the enemy team, they have a lot of good high rank players as well. Yeah, actually getting killed there, but eventually they still are, well, able to get the Raz because of the Atom, and they still keeping the pressure up. Yeah, keeping the pressure up with the E, it's especially just really good at holding those areas where you have chokes, where you can do just AoE damage. They're really good at staying alive overall, okay? Like now, for example, you don't see them actually falling back towards their team quite a lot. You see how they just trying to maintain their position, they just trying to constantly exist on their angles, and that's what I want you to guys try to follow. If you're trying to control the map, is you have those 3 stages a lot of times. It usually gonna be you are taking certain angle, you're just gonna be positioned depending on your kit, positioned somewhere, and then after that you can control. You can control the position, make sure you get rid of anybody who can contest you, and maybe like on the enemy team, for example, who might contest me. Maybe it's Bucky, maybe it can also be, honestly, even the thing maybe can. Well, Star-Lord, I don't think it's too big of a threat, but potentially anyone who can run into me, like especially if I'm in close space in here, I think might be scary. The Bucky is number 1. I think the Bucky is just something I should deal with and make sure I'm controlling the position. And after you got in control, you can look to use the position and just make sure you are providing value from there. I just wanted to ask if someone contests your angle, Yeah, exactly. If someone wants to contest your angle, you want to try to deal with them and keep an eye just how you use your cover, how you use HP packs, and keep an eye on defensive resources too. Honestly, that is something to keep in mind. And you can also use your teammates' help too, obviously. But if I'm Star-Lord, a lot of times I don't have to rely on my team. I can just look to abuse the fact that I have those HP packs on the map and use my mobility to dodge stuff. There's going to be quite a lot of that, and the same thing is going to be for Spider-Man, or maybe there's going to be characters like Black Panther. All of those have similar ideas, okay? And see what happens. Those players, though, they're not giving up those positions, though. If you took certain angle, if you're trying to just maintain those off angles, yeah, for anyone, guys, terminology, yeah, what off angle means is it's the position away from your core. If my core is over here, this is an off angle, or if my core is over there, this can also be an off angle. There are multiple off angles, but you just taking those depending on where the fight is, depending on your kit. Okay, so if I have this position over here, I want to maintain it as long as possible, ideally, because this constantly diverts the enemy attention. I don't want to instantly go back to my team. And that's what a lot of people do. They just give up a lot of the space. If I position here, they just go back to their team. It's not necessary. You can still maintain the line of sight on them. Obviously, if possible, if map allows you to do, yeah, like maybe I can still be above over here and maintain my support line of sight if there's no invisible, of course. But yeah, overall, just use a cover and use HP packs and they're gonna be fine. Okay, let's keep watching. And see, the synchronization, again, around utility. They're going in. And then there is a bubble, probably asking for the bubble as well, which is nice if you guys can do it. I think, why not? Yeah, and now, big damage output, just pushing the enemy out, trying to do as much damage as possible. And you might actually notice that they're not necessarily holding those off angles anymore, though. Yeah, why is that the case? It's because there's a big advantage they got. There are a lot of ultimates right in front on the point. First off, Adam is using ultimate. There's also Envy's ultimate, and Manta is using ultimate as well. So we can ignore the setup a little bit more, to be honest. You can cheat your way through. This is what I call cheating. Yeah, if you have big advantage, you don't have to constantly set up on the map. No, it's not only about the angles. You can try to maintain here, but most of the time, if you're on default state of the fight, then go towards an angle. Right? And you see, there's a lot of advantage, so we can keep pushing up. We can keep taking space. And obviously, this is another thing to mention, just going for the damage of the chokes. Really long fight. Let me see. So, like tank for creating space, but more reliant on cover and mobility. Yeah, that's true. There is some part into that. Just make sure that not the most attention goes into you. Yeah, your rule of thumb is try to make sure that your tank is pushing, your tank is actually taking space, absorbs pressure, and then you're gonna peak in 0.5 seconds. That's how I call this rule. 0.5 seconds rule. You just can peak again. Yeah, this makes it so much easier, generally speaking. This entire time, their tanks are active, so it's easier. But yeah, it's a really long fight, honestly. I almost never seen such a long fight at a high tier, to be honest. They got ultimates already. But see, the entire time, they're not positioned like on the main. They try to position on the left, on the right, or above, unless there's a big advantage with the ultimate. Like here, they got big advantage. Sure, let's push up. I think that makes sense. Unfortunately, they got deleted, but happens. But see what went wrong for them. Yeah, I think they're slightly, a little bit too far. Yeah, their tanks, they cannot absorb pressure in there, so it might be difficult. Starting out on some sort of off angle, my team is fighting on the point, and later, I can just try to do something from the above position. I can try to deal with the rest of the enemy team. Yeah, probably try to go for the E first if there's a big opportunity for E damage. Ask for the bubble, if possible, or maybe Space can also see him using the E, so yeah, it's good to just help him out to stay alive there while doing a lot of pressure. And see, this first, it's all about the map control first. Yeah, I'm not positioning, but the rest of my corps are leaning to the side. That's what you see a lot if you guys played Overwatch on the Tracer as well. You will typically be somewhere more over this route. Let's see. Would it have made sense for the Star-Lord to go behind them, then ult? Yes. Yes, it makes sense. You will actually see it later as well. If you can, I think it's possible. I think they just realized though, and maybe try to catch someone off guard because they've been out in the open, not using cover too much. That's my guess, but yeah, it's a good thing. You can just look to flank and make sure you synchronize with the rest of your court. That's it. Your tanks are pushing, you can go in. Most of the time. And see, I want you to really see this. This is really important. When they are pushing, they are not going back towards their core right away. A lot of people in my sessions, they tell me, but what if my healers, they not gonna heal me? Or what if this or that happens? In reality, especially if it's normal 6v6 fight, it doesn't matter. The first thing which matters is you need that bottom up control, so you force out more resources. And you see them constantly going towards an angle, even though they just pushed. Yeah, they pushed, but they still go towards an angle. Just be in line of sight of your supports, and you're gonna be good. They use cover, and you're gonna be good. It's fine. You're not getting healed for some time, it's okay. Because you can also rely on the HP packs too a little bit if possible. I don't think they should be pushing there, though. I think they can maintain the range, but yeah. They're gonna be constantly falling back towards an angle. As much as possible. Yeah, I think this fight is gonna be over. This is when they will get the ultimate. Let me see. Should I focus on killing your poking to buy time depending on situation? Ideally. Really depends. Killing your poking to buy time. Mostly, if you think about it like resource war. If you lower on resources, then I think it makes sense to just keep poking from far and spend some time just wasting their resources. After that, after you wasted some resources, you can get a kill eventually. The team wins. The one team wins who have more resources. If you have more resources compared to the enemy team, then you're gonna be alright in the long term. So that is something to keep an eye on. For example, if I can force 3 cooldowns by being in the best position on the flank, then this is really good. Yeah, maybe I can just dodge one ability, like maybe 2 abilities with 1 dash. This is really good. Okay, so you will see them, actually, I think once they have an ultimate, they will start to just look for opportunities, to look for the flank one. They still have an advantage, but now it's at this moment, I think it's relatively even, yeah. So they get behind, start ulting, might divert some of the attention of these guys, like over here, maybe some of the resources might go towards the Sinatra. This is good. Can try this out and see what we also have is we have the rest of our core pushing. We have the rest of them just absorbing the pressure. Magneto is using his shift. Yeah, maybe your thing is as well in the front line right now absorbing a lot of pressure too. That's what you gotta keep an eye on. Just your tanks are pushing is a good signal for you to start doing something. And then eventually go back to an angle. You still need map control. There's no big advantage yet. Yeah, the enemy team, they're still responding with ultimates, and they have a lot of numbers up, so we gotta be careful. As much as possible, maintain map control first, and later, if you have big advantage, then we keep pushing.